Guys, welcome back to another week of Autastic, your comedian's guide to autism. I'm one of your hosts. My name is Kirk Smith, and my co-host and buddy
Graham K. Welcome back for another week of the Autastic Podcast, the comedian's guide to autism. Kirk has a nonverbal son. I have a brother with autism. Kirk, how are you doing this week?
Had a busy week this week. A lot of traveling around like a little maniac. Narrowly missed Hurricane Nicole last week.
Oh, on the boats, doing comedy on the old boats, on the ships,
on the old
cruise ships?
Shipperooskies. Yeah, I got stuck in. I think we talked about that actually. Now that I think about that, I think we did that one. I'm good. This week was good. I had a call yesterday with JJ. It's funny to see his interactions, how he deals. We try to do a daily call. It's not every day. It works out like 5 days a week, 4 or 5 days. But it depends heavily on who is watching him, who's assigned to him. And some of the people that are assigned to him are very fortunate in the way he interacts with them. Like he will listen, he will kind of obey, and some of them he's running around kind of like, rah.
Like he can sense maybe who he can get away with stuff with?
He definitely connects with some people better and likes them better. Or maybe he dislikes other people and tries to take advantage. But there's people that he will, for whatever reason, listen to their, I don't know, maybe he likes the timbre of her voice or something or whatever. So he will be more obedient than others.
Do you think they were more like authoritative in the beginning of their interactions, and then he respects them more, like a good teacher type thing, or is it just simple as that? It must be something like.
I'm sure it's a lot of things. Some of these ladies, it's mostly ladies. It's a couple guys, but it's probably 70% women. In general, especially when he was young, he responded really well to men bossing him around. There was very, very few men. So you notice a different interaction when there's a man, especially a good sized man, that he will, I don't know, it's like an alpha interaction, alpha, beta, not beta, but alpha, I don't know how to explain it, but he will take the lead of a bigger man usually pretty easily. And then there's a couple ladies, one of them's really petite, but she is a little firecracker, and she does not take any gruff stuff. So she will boss him around. And, no, and he gets angry, but he will follow her lead for the most part. It's a funny thing, right? Because you can it's like carrot or stick. But some people with the stick, it's a metaphorical stick. They're not beating him. But some people that are more direct and aggressive with him can pull it off, and some people he just, I don't know, it's very interesting.
You can sense when they don't have conviction. I always felt that if I was a school teacher, I would try and be strict, and they could the kids, like I'm imagining like high school age kids, like 14, 15, and they would be able to see right through me. They would know that I'm a wimp, and that they would. I just imagine I would get stuff thrown at me and stuff. I'd be like, hey. And then I just feel like I would be like, I know what the thing to do is. When some people are just you can tell they're used to being around. Like I was at the gym yesterday.
Yeah.
No big deal.
Perfect.
Yeah. And
quit bragging about going to Curves, but continue. Okay.
I feel safe and seen there, Kirk. Anyway, I was at the gym, and I go to a gym that's like run by the city, and kids under 24 can get in for free or something like that. So after school,
usually good basketball at those places.
Very good basketball. Anyway, there's a lot of teens working out there, who are at the local high school football team or whatever, and it's loud. There's like sweatshirts hanging off of every machine. You go to work, do a machine, and they're like not moving out of the way. and I just kind of like meekly go, hey, excuse me. I don't know what to do with these kids, you know. And then there was like an older dude who was clearly either had kids or been a teacher or whatever.
He's like, hey, how you doing? Watch out, I'm going to use this machine.
Yeah, he's
Move
like
over.
half my size, and he's like, hey, excuse me. Yeah, are you using this? Okay, yeah, sure. Can we get in after you? Okay, thank you. Yes. Hey, no sweatshirts there. No sweatshirts. You got to put them in a locker. And the kid goes, do you work here? And he goes, yes. I know he didn't work there because I saw him go in, and the older gentleman didn't have his little ID card, and they gave him crap, and he was like, no, I'm in the system, and they finally let him in. He was like, yes, I do. Hilarious. And they're like, okay. He was just like, no questions, did not waver in his confidence. He just... and their kids were moving around. All of a sudden, they were like lining. They were like lining up and getting out of the way. And they go, yeah, after you, sir. Yes. And then they were like being nice and wiping everything down. It was hilarious.
Well, there's funny like people
whipped them into order.
Will respond to whatever they can get away with. Everybody's like that.
Yeah.
At some level, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Hilarious.
I've just
But JJ suffers from that too. Like he would prefer to be on his computer the whole time.
Sure.
Have his laptop with him in the bathroom while he's eating, in the car. But you know, like when he moved him in his place, they're like, no laptops when you're eating. Oh, and then somehow magically he's survived without his laptop while he's eating.
Yeah.
Magically, no laptop in the bathroom. Somehow that's fine. He's figured out, okay, that's fine. No laptop in the car. Somehow, okay, that's fine. So, and we've talked about this before, but probably about 200 episodes ago. But when she was alive, like his mom would get the worst behavior out of him. He would just, he just knew. I think that she just, you know,
no boundaries.
Loved him the most, maybe. Yeah, or no boundaries. Yeah. So it was like he could basically talk her into anything.
Uh-huh.
So versus like this little lady who was even smaller than his mom was is like, nah. I shouldn't say her name. I won't say her name. She's like, no. And at first, and then she's just like, and he'll like roll his eyes, but he'll do it.
It's so cute.
So funny. So funny.
How's his little office? How's the little businessman? Still doing the office?
He's still got his little businessman set up in the corner. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's still got his little... I think there's a couple things he likes it. He likes... He has a good vantage point where he can see everybody when they come out of their rooms. So he can see what's happening. Like, he can't see into their rooms, but the doors open into a hallway. So if you're coming out of your room, he can see you exiting your room. He knows where you're going. So he's like not missing out on any of the action. Like if you all exit your rooms and go to the kitchen to eat, he knows. And so he's on his little... You know what? It's like a hall monitor situation. It's like got a little desk set up. And he can monitor all the comings and goings of this facility. Who's coming out of their room?
Does he have friends that are special needs in the facility? Does he get along with anybody? Is that also why he's waiting?
No. There's one. The guy who probably warms to him most, there's a kid that's Down syndrome that's probably about half his size. Kid, he's probably 30 as well, 25. No, he's younger than that. He's about JJ's age. Kind of friendly, like a lot of Down syndrome kids, like kind of friendly, kind of, hey, hi, kind of a little bit like, loud, I guess I'd say. And so he's, JJ likes it usually, but sometimes not so much. But the other kid is much more, how do I say this? He has much more going on. Like he'll go out, good morning, he'll say good morning to the aide. He'll walk, I'm going to here, JJ can't do that. He can't agency is a real issue. Like saying where he's going to go, where he's going to do, communicating clearly what he wants.
But do they ever does JJ like the interactions? Do they ever play? Do they ever watch videos or something?
They never play. No. JJ really wants to control the video situation. It's his videos. He wants to watch what he wants.
Yeah.
What the closest he'll do to that is if they all go watch a show. Like there's Swedish versions of I don't remember which one it is, American Idol or one of those kind of things, or Swedish Idol. And if they're all in there, he'll bring in his little thing.
There's
his
Eurovision,
laptop,
isn't there?
Eurovision. He'll bring in his laptop with headphones, and he'll sit with the group while they watch their thing, and he'll watch his thing. But sometimes he wants to sit there. He wants to sit in the group.
Oh, that's nice. So he watches VeggieTales with his earbuds in, and they watch Eurovision.
Yeah.
Swedish Idol, which, to be honest, probably pretty good.
There's a lot of beautiful people in Sweden, men and women. Yeah.
Well, a lot of good musicians too. Anyway, there's a lot of similarities.
What's going on with Peter?
With Peter and that. So, like, my dad was here recently. I was supposed to have hip surgery.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was supposed to have hip surgery, and
What's your dad's name? It's like a real man's name. What
David.
David.
Yeah.
Right. What's David doing?
So he was supposed to take care of me after my hip surgery. My hip surgery got postponed / delayed / canceled. I canceled it. We're going to try PT, physical therapy, physio if you're in Canada. Give that another round, which is good. Anyway, the flight was already paid for, so I said, Dad, I already paid for the flight. You know, I was like, come down.
It'd be nice to see him a little bit.
I want my parents to see my place. They've never come down. My mom doesn't want to come down, and my dad. I think they just went on safari, and
jeez Louise,
I think they needed a break from each other. My dad said, my dad said, your mother's driving me nuts, and
hilarious.
And so he was happy to come down. I was happy to have him, and we had a nice little trip, but. We talked a bit about Peter. You know, Peter called a few times, and we did like a group, FaceTime call, which was very cute. My dad's very good with Peter. Plays all the games and all the characters and stuff, and makes funny faces into the phone.
Your dad does that?
Yeah. It's very sweet. Peter softens my dad a lot. It's very cute. My dad also
because every time you've described your dad, it's a little stern, Scottish. Let's save money.
Yeah.
Be a man.
Yeah.
Don't. Yeah.
Yeah.
And don't emote.
And
be a man.
I think that. I mean, my dad has a humorous side. He's always been a good laugher. He used to love watching stand-up comedy on TV when I was a kid.
Until you started doing it.
No, and he goes to the shows, and he's a good laugher. And
I'm joking.
No, but anyway, I think that one of the advantages of having someone with autism in your life is it keeps you grounded and keeps you young a bit. So I think that Peter has softened my stern, like, boomer dad. And it's pretty cute. Anyway, my dad was lamenting that Peter doesn't hang out with any of the other special needs kids in his building. And the reason why my parents organized this whole thing of choosing a building that was affordable and was off public transportation, and got the other families in live, work, play that could afford to either rent or buy in that building to do so. So there was one place where the higher functioning kids could hang out and create a community, and it had like a pool, and it's got like a billiards room and whatever. And so they've set all this up, and then Peter doesn't take advantage of it. There's like about 3 other kids, again, they're like 30, who live in that building, and they hang out, and Peter doesn't. He just won't do it. He never calls. I mean, I've told you in the past that, like, I think they don't like hanging out with him because he likes to control the videos. He doesn't. He's like, we're watching this. I don't want to watch that. He's like very like, and he does all the talking. He doesn't ask any questions, and he's very particular. He's a curmudgeon. It's like, you go to his house and you put you leave a coffee mug out and don't put it in the sink. He's like, you can't do that. It's like, he's like, everything has to be in the sink, which is good, but bad. Like, it's how to chill when people are around. They're your guests. You have to make them feel like relaxed. You can't make them feel like they're in the army, and always on edge, at basic training or something. So it's been like a constant battle that I know I've talked about a lot, but it was funny to hear you say that about JJ, because Peter's very similar. He likes to be around, and he likes to be the center of attention, but he doesn't like to participate, and he doesn't like to not be in charge.
He should have been a stand-up comedian.
He likes being in front of a crowd. When we had
Yeah, you were telling me that. I love it.
yeah, when we had when I was home a few months ago, and we had the first Live Work Play meetup in like 2 years since the pandemic. They had like a barbecue or whatever, and Peter got hold of a megaphone. I don't know where he got it, and he got up in front of everybody and was like, "Everybody, listen to me." And they're like so used to they've been around Peter for 20 years, you know. So no one's listening, no one's looking at him. He's like, "Everybody," and people are like, "Ugh, yeah," like, you know. And it's just so funny to see them because they have special needs, so they don't feel sorry for him. They're just like, "Oh, come on, Peter. I'm trying to talk to my girlfriend, Peter." And
I love it.
And he's just like, "Everybody, this is my brother, Graham, and we are going to do," and he's just like making up some speech.
There's nothing prepared.
Nothing prepared, nothing to say. But he loves the attention. It's funny. It runs in the family, I guess. You know? My mom loves giving speeches at the Cottage Owners Association, and she loves. She's on the board of the Canadian Condo Association, condo board.
I do sometimes wonder about that with stand-up comedy. It does feel like sometimes, not all the comics, but a lot of comics want to interact with people, want to connect with people, especially comics on the spectrum, and they understand if I can do this thing where I make them laugh, they'll listen.
Yeah.
If I can do this one thing where it's funny at the end of the speech, I can talk 10 minutes. They'll listen for 10 minutes. If there's a laugh every minute and a half, every minute, they'll be happy. I'm happy.
Yeah.
I do feel like there's a little bit of that.
Sure. I think so.
Zoltan has a bit where he's like, I figured out this is the way I like to interact with people. I like me to be talking, ideally in an amplified device, you to be sitting down, listening, and interrupting me is mostly frowned upon.
Yeah,
something like that. Which is like pretty funny.
Zoltan Cassius, very funny comic.
Yes. Hungarian, I think, or something.
Hungarian background, but I think they were refugees or something, and I think he was born
I just mean
over
the
there.
name Zoltan. I didn't even heard of that.
Yeah. Oh man. So he lives in. He has an American accent. He's from San Diego, basically. He looks like a guy from San Diego.
Yeah.
But when I lived in Hungary for a year in my early 20s, everybody's name was Zoltan. Like it was like John or.
Hilarious.
It was like and it's you just Zoli. That's the nickname, Zoli.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, we got an article, a good one. This one, the good old Gramo found. You want to read this one, buddy? I know you found it.
All right, I'll read it. That's Kirk's little way of saying I don't want to read it.
That's not true. Did you read the last one? I'll read it if you want.
I've been talking a lot this episode. People deserve to hear your beautiful voice.
Or at least my voice, however it may be. Sure, I can do it. Let's see. This is on. All right, cover your ears. Excuse me. Spectrum News, which seems to be a news amalgamator. Is that the word? Amalgamator, whatever. That pieces together all these different pieces of news. Aggregator. That's the word.
And this is by Peter Hess.
Peter Hess, which sounds like a actor's name.
A detective.
Anyway. New evidence hints at mechanisms for fever effect in autism. Raising body temperature seems to alleviate seizures and other traits associated with two autism-linked gene mutations in mice, according to unpublished research presented Sunday and Monday at Neuroscience 2022 in San Diego, California, which we were just speaking of. By the way, I feel like cancer, autism, everything has been cured in mice at this point. But anyway, that's a different issue. But humans were still working through some of this stuff. Findings hit at a mechanism that could account for anecdotal reports that some autistic children have temporary improvements in social ability and other behaviors during and after a fever, although about 12% of autistic children showed this fever effect in a 2017 study based on parental reports. Far fewer did when the same team researched the autistic children's prospectively. Followed autism prospectively. Okay. I think that's missing a verb, but prospectively. All right, whatever. Extending the new animal findings to people requires caution, said Catherine Lord, professor of, by the way, Catherine Lord, professor of psychiatric and education. We've had her on the show. That's exactly right. That's what I was going to say. I think twice. Anyway, professor of psychiatry and education at the University of California, Los Angeles, UCLA, some people would call that, who led the prospective study. In our sample, we did not get any reports of changes in seizures in the kids we followed, but we didn't have many of them, and the fevers were usually of short duration. So I wouldn't get too excited about these findings, but we certainly didn't refute them. In our sample, the autistic kids were more affected by fever than typical kids, but in only 3 kids did their behavior actually get better. Previous research in mice suggested the effect might stem from 2 immune molecules such as IL-17A that act on the brain, but the new studies could pour cold water on the idea, raising the body temperature of mice or people with mutations of SCN2 or IQSEC2 genes associated with seizures and autism and intellectual disability, lessen the severity of some traits without inducing an immune response, suggesting that the temperature itself may be responsible. I suspect that what these 2 studies are really telling us is there are really specific reasons that some kids get these, said Andrew Zimmerman, a clinical professor of pediatrics and neurology at UMass Chan Medical School in Worcestershire, Massachusetts, who is not involved. Worcester, sorry. I was trying to be funny, but then I didn't commit to the bit.
Nope.
Who is not involved in either study. If research could pinpoint which students it might affect, starting out with a specific mutation and clinical sign and going from there, he says, I think we're going to get a lot further faster. All right, I'm going to jump to the end because this is about 10 pages of, not 10 pages, but it's a little long.
I would have read the whole thing, but...
Oh, my goodness. Fine, I'll read the whole thing.
No, don't. I'm kidding.
Anecdotal reports from parents
people
report
can read it if they want on Spectrum News.
Yeah. Anecdotal parent reports of fever effect in children with IQ SEC2 mutations inspired the other study, led by investigator Andrew Levy, professor of medicine at Technion Israel Institute of Technology in Haifa. They would stop having seizures, and they would become more interactive with their caregivers. He and his team have not collected consistent data on the children subsequently, blah, 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 blah. The experimental therapy builds on a 2021 study of mice in IQ. This is one we already discussed. The heat restores the normal activity of postsynaptic currents and excitatory receptors in neurons from IQ-SEC2 in mice. Unpublished data from Levy's team shows. The heat treatment in these animals also reduces the hyperactivity of ARF6 and GTP protein, which regulates protein involved in cell structures and communications. Existing medications such as antibiotics, doxycycline, and tetracycline can also treat AG86 GTP hyperactivity and may be more feasible for families than a daily jacuzzi treatment. Well, I was going to say, I remember one time very specifically him having he's a very robust kid. The one advantage of eating everything off the floor, whatever you want, he rarely gets sick, and he also sleeps a lot. But one time I remember when we were in Sri Lanka, so it had to be 5 or 6 years ago, he had a fever, and he was not interested in his laptop very much and very interested in trying to connect with us and eye contact and I remember his mom specifically making a big deal about it. That was very interesting. That and he kept saying, "Are you okay?" Which he says when he doesn't feel well, he hurts himself. Because we say, "Are you okay?" So he goes, "Are you okay?" So that means I don't feel well. And then he'd say, "Ouch, ouch," and it was very interesting. Like I remember specifically that instance where he was very clear-headed, for lack of a better word. Because sometimes he seems like he's distracted. There's a lot of stimuli he can't close out, and he's here, he's there, he's jumping around. And then I remember sometimes when he gets sick, he gets really calm and is trying to connect.
Interesting.
So anecdotally, I'm sure that's where when they talks about, anecdotally, parents have reported. We've reported that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Have you noticed that with Peter ever?
Again, Peter never gets sick.
Hilarious. I know. I'm thinking this time he had a fever. It was like 5 years ago, dude. It was legit like 5 years ago.
I don't. Peter is an absolute horse.
But I will say this: if all of us slept 10 to 12 hours a night,
dude, that might be it. You
might be less sick.
It might
you might be less sick too.
Honestly, yeah. The guy sleeps. He's awake for 12 and he's asleep for 12.
Yeah, so if you feel a little run down and you go, I'm going to go lay down at 8 o'clock, and then you slept till 8 in the morning, you might feel better.
Yeah. That's so funny. I'm trying to think of. Yeah, I mean, he's very cute when he's sick or injured. He turns into, you just want to cry. You want to kiss him and hold him.
He turns very soft, and he gets like, sometimes my son will be very, and then he just like, just look at you like, help me.
Yeah,
so you're like, okay.
It hurt. Yeah, oh my God. Yeah.
Ouch.
And I guess that way he's focused. But Peter's pretty good at. Peter's an interesting case in the terms of the spectrum. Because.
Yeah, it's really funny because my son is you either get the kids that are like doing the good doctor, or you get kids like my son who are like potty trained at 10, still has accidents, still might poop himself, and then you've got Peter who lives on his own, can make a couple dishes, he can drink a beer,
but he can't count.
He can't count. It's kind of a funny thing.
Yeah, he's not good at counting. He's not good at and he can't understand the favorite or the best. Rank them. Can't do it.
I also love. I don't think you've done it on this podcast, but your counting joke. It's really great.
Oh yeah. I'm working on a stand-up show that is exclusively about autism, and I'm going to be releasing it later in 2023. And long story short is I'm working on a lot. I'm focusing on this particular subject. It's something I've been avoiding for a long time. Didn't want to be like the autism guy, but I realized that it's such a huge part of my life that I was kind of like not talking about my life, which is stupid. So anyway, I have like a few newer jokes, and one of them is like that Peter is he always talks to me like I'm an idiot. He's like, and I'm like, how many beers did you have? And he knows that I know he can't count, but I'm like trying to figure out if he's an alcoholic. And I'll be like, how many beers? He'll be like, Graham, I can't count, idiot. It's like a weird sentence to hear.
The juxtaposition where somebody admits they can't count and then calls you an idiot is terrific. Hey, dummy, you know that I can't count.
Yeah.
Quit embarrassing yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, stop embarrassing yourself. I can't count.
Oh, that's a great bit.
Anyway, there's more to it, but you'll have to come see the show. I'm going to be
come see. Where can they see you?
Putting it on its feet for the first time on December 29th in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. So if you are a Canadian fan or you live in Southern Ontario, come see me December 29th at the Comedy Bar Danforth location. They have 2 locations now. This one is on the Danforth, East Toronto. You can find tickets at grahamk.com. You can also follow me at Mr. Graham K on Twitter, if it still exists by the time you hear this, and Instagram. I'm also on
the future.
TikTok,
Twitter was a big thing
which is
at the
embarrassing, at OK Graham K. And also, as always, follow us on Patreon, or not follow us, but donate to us on Patreon. You can very easily go to patreon.com/autastic and give us a buck.
Okay, your thing is okay on TikTok? Man, you're really setting the expectations there. Okay, Graham K.
I know. It's just impossible to think of anything. And Mr. Graham K was taken.
Hilarious. Hey, guys, you could do me a huge favor and subscribe to my channel on YouTube. I've only got shorts for now, but it would really help me out. All my social media is Kirk Smith Comedy. It takes 1 second. Click on that, Kirk Smith Comedy. And as always, Facebook is my big push this week. Kirk Smith Comedy. Thanks, guys. Have a great week. You can do it.